the basic sort of concept is just handmade, custom made French macarons that I make in my home. So I live in a little studio apartment and I bake everything to order in my own kitchen. And I kind of got into it because I've always really loved baking, and I really wanted to like push my or expand my baking skills. And I acquired a KitchenAid mixer, which was like the holy grail, right? So I really wanted to learn how to make macarons because I've always thought they were super pretty and delicious. And I knew they were really hard to make. So I set about, like, I did a lot of research and just wanted to teach myself how to do it initially. And then I just got like hooked and I couldn't stop making them. And I decided to just kind of start a business doing it because I had a lot of people asking me, like, do you sell these? Like, because I was posting pictures on, like my personal social media or whatever. And there isn't really like a lot of places in town where you can get them. For me, it was also just like a creative endeavor that I felt like I wanted to take on at the time because I was in the middle of transitioning career-wise. And so for me, baking is a really nice outlet and a stress reliever. And I kind of did it for myself initially, and now it's become more about sharing it with others, which for me is a huge part of baking, is like that idea of baking for somebody else. And so that's kind of how it came to be, I guess. So I'm a very type A person, and I live by schedules and lists. And for me, it's actually a system that works really well for me to kind of divide my time between a lot of different smaller things because that's how I figured out that's kind of how I like to do my life, I guess. I used to have like a 9-to-5 job and where I just went there every day and I was there all day and it was like a normal work schedule. And for me, I felt like it was a lot harder for me to like feel fulfilled and happy in that type of lifestyle. And I totally get why it works for a lot of other people. But for me, I've always been kind of more creatively minded and wanted to have that flexibility to be able to do some of those like more entrepreneurial projects. And I just never found like the right outlet for myself. So I hadn't really found that balance prior to starting this. The thing that's nice about like my job at Pure Barre and my job at RCTC is that they're relatively the same schedule every week. So I kind of have those things just blocked out for when I am going to be, in one place or the other. And then I can fit my baking business sort of in the cracks where I need to. For me, it's really been about sharing something I'm passionate about with other people. And so sometimes it's like you take a step back and you're like, okay, baking, like that's such a little, like it's a frivolous thing if you look at it in like the grand scheme of the world, right? Is like a little home baking business doesn't seem like it carries much weight in comparison with lots of other businesses. But for me, it's something that brings people joy. And that's huge for me because I feel like in today's like global landscape, anything that can bring you a little bit of happiness or put a smile on your face is so valuable. And it's been so just rewarding to see people's reactions to the things that I make because it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's not a hands-off business by any means. It's like the process of actually making any batch it does take a while. And so sometimes it's like, late in the evening and you're finishing up a batch and you're just exhausted. And then the next day when you give them to the customer and like you see how excited they are, like that is what makes it so fulfilling for me. Macarons to me are kind of almost like edible art. They're very, aesthetically pleasing, and you can make them in so many different colors, and I've been playing around with different shapes and things. And for me, that's kind of a cool concept of like, here's something that people can share with others that's like not only beautiful but also delicious. And that fusion of like art and food to me is such a cool thing, and something that I've always been in awe of myself. Even before I really got into baking, I always loved seeing beautiful food and seeing beautiful baked things. And so being able to do that myself has been really, really cool.